really pleasure now to have the opportunity to introduce Siniparski as the next speaker. So Arthur, thank you again, and if you can please introduce Ms. Christina Chatzidaki.
Okay. Hello, Christina. Thank you very much for. Hi. Thank
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
No.
No.
Your camera.
No. Huh?
No.
Maybe Henry, yes. Could you put video on Yanis, please?
No.
Ah, yes.
Hello.
You can see me now.
Hi.
Hi. You see what I am? Wow.
Oh my God.
Beautiful Lesvos.
To swimming.
Oh my God.
Well, actually,
yes,
welcome.
I can hear you.
Welcome, Christina, to our summit. I'm very pleased, and on behalf of Changemakers Lab team, we are very pleased to have you also for this summit. Actually, I just know you have founded and sorry, you are the president of Siniparski, and I will let you introduce yourself further because I do not have further information. Please, thank you.
Kalimera to all of you. Good morning to all of you. Thank you very much for inviting us to this internet talk. I don't take not a lot of times have I taken part of this. Anyway, no, I'm not the president presently of Siniparski. I have been in the past. Stratis Palis is the president now. But he's a little ashamed of his English, so I have to do this. We have started a long way ago in 1998 in Lesvos. Actually, Siniparski started in this place I am right now. I mean, the idea of it, which is a beautiful place. So what came out was a beautiful thing we did all these years, 21 years now. And our goals were to support refugees and migrants, and to create relationships of friendship and collaboration with our Turkish neighbors, the Turkish citizens. Recently, we are, most of our activity is about refugees, of course, because of the situation. And we've done a lot of things in the past, starting in exactly at the year we started, 98, because that's where the flows of people started arriving in our island from Afghanistan mainly, due to the war there. And we were the first and almost the only organization to deal with them. We managed to have together other associations also and people from the island, and we really gave a helping hand to that time, of course, with much less people than now. Since 15, summer of 15, of course, things changed. You know what happened? About 1 million people passed through Lesvos when the borders were open, and we really tried to do our best to help them because we're a small association with not much money at that time. So we were helping on the beaches of the south of Lesvos, near Mytilene. After March 16 and the EU-Turkish common statement, not it wasn't really, it was just a statement. We focused on the camps because people were stuck here after that, and started to help in the camps, especially the unaccompanied minors. We were the first to take them out of the camp They were actually imprisoned there for their protection, and we managed, with the help of the authorities of Moria, to get them out on daily excursions, which we continued until the coronavirus case. Unfortunately, since February, we cannot take them out, as you know, it's not allowed. Also, we organized for them feasts on their religious or other opportunities, and computer lessons in collaboration with Movement on the Ground, which also stopped now, unfortunately. But we didn't stop our activities. Now we are, since the quarantine, we are helping people to cope with this situation as much as we can, because it's impossible to reach 20,000 people in Moria, of course. So we help, again, especially the minors, the unaccompanied minors, in the two in A and B sections, and the kids that are out in the jungle, with the help of Euro Relief. We managed to give them some more food. As you know, the food in Moria is not very good and not enough. We have bought equipment for the sections, that like washing machines, refrigerator, etc. Now we are about to buy some shoes they need. Also, we have helped the Rad Music Group, which are so close and dear friends of ours, and the Wave of Hope School of the Afghan people. We do that thanks to donations, of course, because we're a small organization, but we have gained the respect of big organizations, because we are very, very clear, and we are all volunteers. We have no personnel, never had, and we don't have. We do that in our free time, even, you know, the boring works an association has to do about bureaucracy and accounting and all that. So many organizations respect us and trust us, and we want to thank them a lot for that, especially Diakonie Zollingen in Germany, and Kalimera in Germany. We want to thank the students and professors in Michigan State University. Lately, the family of the very famous composer in Greece, Panos Mikroutsikos, who died unfortunately in December. And they, you know, that instead of flowers, please give your donations to. It's very common in Greece. They asked the friends to give us the donations instead of flowers. So we have that's why we can help so much with the unaccompanied minors. It was especially for unaccompanied minors. And we continue, and we hope this situation ends with measures for coronavirus and can get the kids out, because they're about to get crazy with this situation, and do all the other things we used to do. For instance, every Easter we would organize an Easter feast for the Christian refugees, especially, mainly the African ones, as you know, as well as some Arab ones. Also, we used to organize a big feast for the Ramadan, the end of Ramadan, for the Muslim people. We wish we could do that again. Let's see. Yeah.
Lily, thank you very much for the overview of the amazing work that you do. Siniparski, I think maybe we'll ask Israel just to say a few comments, and I'm sure Rudy will also mention it. But your meetings are a true inspiration of seeing everyone coming together in a volunteer basis for the common good. And it's always really inspiring to be with you. Just one point is that I think we got mixed with the panels because of the time zone. So the description, we actually still on panel 1. We going according to African time, or South Africa rather. And so this panel is about the perception versus the reality. So I don't know if there's any thing that you may want to share on the situation on Lesvos, in addition to what you've said.
You're referring to me?
Yes.
What about the situation among the people, you mean?
Yes.
You know, there are tensions. There have been tensions. There have been very bad tensions. There is a group of neo-Nazis, unfortunately, acting on Lesvos. They have access to authorities, unfortunately. And they're creating, very bad situations. You know, this all these problems are caused by the 20,000 people stuck on the island. This creates all the problems because among them, of course, there are people who are violent, who are criminals, and people in a very bad psychological situation that can become criminals by that situation. So they try to make these things, you know, just to make people think that all the refugees are like that, are criminals, which is, of course, a very big lie. The criminals are a small minority, but they can do all this damage. So they create fear among the people that the refugees will steal them, kill them, rape them, and all these horrible things that go around. Moria in last June had 5,500 people. I guess you know that. Today it's 20, less now than 20 because we had very few new arrivals. This creates all the problems and this makes people react like this. I hope that when finally this government gets people out, which they should have done since many months ago, that things will be easier, smoother.
Thank you, Nelia. Can I ask you, so it sounds like you agree with Jalal's statement. Jalal said there's a misunderstanding between locals and refugees. And so how people that have not met refugees, what their perception is, you mentioned the word fear. You know, many people are responding based on the fear versus any interaction. So, and yeah.
Yeah, that's fear is the worst thing in a community. It creates a lot of trouble, and especially when this fear is not true. As you know, fear is used by all authorities all over the world. You know that. So yes, there is this misunderstanding. I told you that there are people believing that all refugees are criminals, unfortunately. And there are people believing that all this will be solved when they are deported in their countries, which is all of them, 20,000 people, which is ridiculous because that cannot be done. The government has to follow some procedures, otherwise we'll go to the international courts, you know that.
I want to add one more point and then maybe open it for questions from others as well and comments that are in the group. Just during the elections last year, I remember when there was a group of people, they were campaigning and walking in the streets of Mytilene. They went and walked into a shop and there was about 6 people around the table and they started talking to them. And this one lady, she came up to us and she said, and because we asked her the question about, you know, the refugees. And then she says, well, what are you going to do about the refugees? And she was a very well-presented lady, very like calm lady and you know, like an average citizen. And what I'll never forget is that within 25, 30 seconds of her talking, she burst out crying in front of everyone, saying that for the last 4 years, that she lives in the center of Mytilene. And for the last 4 years, she's got 2 young kids. She's about 29 years old. And she says, for the last 4 years, I can't sleep at night. I'm too scared to walk out of my house and my home, and I'm afraid for my children. And, you know, this is what, you know, so, and it's based on fear, but the fear for these people is real. And what happens is they put pressure on the government to be able to, inverted commas, solve it, because, you know, there's been misinformation and a lack of platforms for bringing people together. You know, so the initiatives that you do are extremely important. I think, you know, if we can find ways of doing that more, because everyone has spoken about this understanding, about fear. And so what's happened is it's become a cycle. And now
familiar actually. Yes,
so,
I
yeah.
think this kind of fear is too much, it's exaggerating, because not every day we have incidents in the town. I live in the town also. I walk alone at night. It's not so often that we have these incidents. There are incidents, but it's not so often. It's too much to say that I can't go out, and it's a lie. I can't go out with my kids. Why? The streets, especially now that we're a little free from the quarantine, you know, the streets are full of people. So, yeah, it's the fear is a very bad thing.
Exactly. It's the fear that's a very bad thing. And I think with the fact that the people of Lesvos who were nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and I heard that you may have been part of that suggestion, but what I want to say is, so the people that were nominated for their heroism and their incredible heartwarming welcome that across the world was making news. And in fact, it was one of those inspiring things to see how the average citizens were welcoming and supporting refugees. They are responding based on the fear. And I think with a 40% population in Mytilene at the moment, 40% of the people are asylum seekers, and still there's a large community, not just like yourself and the rest, that are quite welcoming. But I think the fear is still prevailing. So how do we address that and remove the wrong perception that people have? And also, so
with our activities, giving publicity to our activities, of course, accepting you know, phrasal attacks from the fascists, but we don't care. We never stopped our work. We had a lot of problems with the Greek-Turkish activities we had. We were accused of being traitors and all that. But, you know, we don't owe anybody anything. We are clean, we are honest. So we just continue to do what we do and we have people who like us. Yes, of course, not all the people are like that, are, you know, full of fear and hate. Of course not.
Yep. So, well, so if I can open to Israel or anyone else that may want to ask a question or comment.
If I may.
Yes, please, Christo.
I don't know how much time do we have left, given the fact that now the panels are kind of changed.
We have about 15 minutes still.
Okay, so we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, if I may, I would like to present my association.
Sorry, Christo,
yes?
for your association, that's going to be in the next panel. So for you to present. So I was thinking if there's any discussions that we want to have in context of what Ms. Chatzidaki has mentioned here now. So if someone wants to give comments or feedback on that.
Yeah. I would like to add something about what Miss said. Actually, personally, I'm member of Rad Music, so I recognize how big the effort of Siniparski, the organization that she's the head of, like how big help they are bringing us, you know, because I've been talking with Rudy about what we can do in order to help refugees. We can't do it by our own, so that's why we decided, me and Rudy, to, you know, can you hear me?
Not clearly.
You broke up a little bit, but you seem to be back on.
My network is not that good. I will check. I wanted to clarify most about the help of Siniparski. Like Siniparski in this time of quarantine, they are bringing a big help for refugees. Personally, for Rad Music, they have been helping us for providing us food, because we know all that right now people living in Moya, it's very difficult for them to get something to eat. So that's why it was a big help for us that Siniparski brought us food. They really helped us in, like, financially, mentally, and morally. So we want really to thank them for all the effort and all the support that they brought us. And I want to tell them to keep going to help refugees as they are doing, because it's a really good help. Yeah. Yeah, I want you to thank them. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you, Israel.